Welcome or welcome back to the channel, and welcome to another D&D inspired vlog. We're doing it again, but it's different, okay? When me and Ash were gearing up for the first round of Chains and Treasures, we did some vlogs around the D&D classes. And then in my vlog where my friends picked my TBR without knowing, which I will leave linked, and as a side note, is the most fun I've had doing a vlog because of the reaction of the people involved when they found out they were in fact involved. But in that video, I did something around D&D classes for one of the D&D groups that I play with Rob's group. And I basically got them to pick a D&D class, and then the one that got mentioned the most times, I read a book because I had listed out all of the D&D classes and given them a prompt, right? Not explaining it well, but stay with me. So obviously in advance, I had listed out all the D&D classes and give them all a prompt, but then I only used one. And I thought that was sad because I was really proud of some of those prompts. So I've taken 5 of those prompts and I'm going to use them for this vlog. I had tried to make them all kind of link into D&D campaigns that I'm either actively in or have been in, or my friends have been in. And I've picked the 5 prompts that I enjoyed the most, and I'm not going to go through them all now. We'll go through them one at a time as I read for them, but each of them kind of has a little anecdote about where the link came from. So without further ado, let me tell you the first one we're going to do. So the first class I'm going to read for is Monk, and the prompt that I had given is a silent word in the title. And this is because Ash from Ash's Bookish Life, my Tomes and Treasures co-creator and one of my current DMs, she had a monk character when she was first getting into D&D, and because she was like new to roleplay and stuff, she made her be mute, or kind of mute. So she came from like a monastery where she had taken like a vow of silence, so like she didn't speak much or at all. And so I thought I will use that link for my monk prompt. If I remember correctly, it was only when they kind of started the campaign that her character started to use the odd word. So it was kind of like she'd been silent the whole time she was in the monastery, and she was then kind of picking up speech and that as she went. Really fun way to do a character, by the way, especially if you're kind of like new and nervous about getting into the role-playing side. So actual genius move from Ash, I've got to say. So the book I've picked for this is The Silent Companions by Laura Purcell. I have been told so many times that I will really like this, and I bought the audiobook for this like 2 years ago or something stupid, and I kind of just keep forgetting that I have it. So this is the perfect excuse to read it because it literally has the word silent in the title. Like I could have gone for quiet, mute, muffled or something like that, like the silent was in quotations, but actually had the perfect book. When newly widowed Elsie is sent to see out her pregnancy at her late husband's crumbling country estate, The Bridge, what greets her is far from the life of wealth and privilege she was expecting. When Elsie married handsome young heir Rupert Bainbridge, she believed she was destined for a life of luxury. But with her husband dead just weeks after their marriage, her new servants resentful, and the local villagers actively hostile, Elsie has only her husband's awkward cousin for company, or so she thinks. Inside her new home lies a locked door, behind which is a painted wooden figure, a silent companion that bears a striking resemblance to Elsie herself. The residents of the bridge are terrified of the figure, but Elsie tries to shrug this off as simple superstition. That is, until she notices the figure's eyes following her. I'd actually forgotten what this was about. That actually does sound really good. A Victorian ghost story that evokes a most unsettling kind of fear. This is a tale that creeps its way through the consciousness in ways you least expect, much like the silent companions themselves. I actually think me leaving this was perfect. Not only does it perfectly fit this prompt, but I read Victorian Psycho earlier this year and was like, oh, I like that Victorian setting for horror. I'll have to read some other horror set in the Victorian era. It's falling into my lap. I have always been of the mind that I don't like historical fiction, but when it comes to horror, and actually that's not true. So I have said that I don't like historical fiction because I don't like stuff set in like World War I or II, and I don't like when it's all about like the romance, like Regency era romance and stuff. Like I don't think I would enjoy Jane Austen or anything like that. But when it's dark, gimme. Like darker classics, horror classics, and horror set in the past. I'm getting more into it. I have in the recent past been quite disappointed when I've been reading a book and been like, oh, that is set in the past. I'm getting out of that mindset. So I'm excited for this. I have the audiobook. I'm going to try and start it at work tomorrow. If not, I will be listening to it at some point this week, and I will update you when I'm about halfway through. Hello, it's Tuesday evening. I think, over halfway through Silent Companions. It literally just said that I'm at the end of volume 1, but I only have 1 hour 20 minutes left of the audiobook, which is sped up, but I'm sure originally I had something like 4 hours. So I feel like I'm over halfway. Anyway, I am disappointed. I thought this was going to be a lot creepier than it is. There are some creepy moments, don't get me wrong. Like there's some stuff that happens with these silent companions, these doll things that are super creepy, but it's not making up for it because the rest of it is a bit, I don't know, boring. So this is why I'm always nervous going into historical stuff, okay? There's so much about this that I like. I like the kind of setting of it. I like the silent companions, and I like a little bit of the kind of Victorian class discussion and how the society is, right? The problem is I feel like we're doing too much of that. Like we're spending too much time talking about that side of it, and I just want to get to the creepy stuff. Also, I think one of the things that is losing me is that it's dual timeline. So we're getting like what's happening to the main character now, whose name is Elsie, maybe. We're getting her point of view, but then we're also getting the point of view of someone like 200 years before, called Anne, I think, who is like her Elsie's dead husband's ancestor, right? And in like the past timeline, we're getting kind of like the backstory of where these silent companions came from and on all of that jazz. And it is interesting, but that bit of it particularly has a lot of emphasis on kind of like society stuff. Like that's in like the 1600s, and it's losing me. It's really losing me. I wanted it to be kind of like we're in this house with the weird dolls and there's too much other stuff, you know? It's not badly written, it's just not my cup of tea, it's not my style. And I will say, and I don't know whether this is the writing or this is the narrator, but I often get confused if I've missed them kind of like saying the year and where we are. I get confused about which POV we're in because they don't really have a very distinct voice, which is strange because the narrator does some actually really good voices. She kind of like differentiates between the main character and then the servants. Like everyone kind of has like distinct voice, but I think as well the problem is that in the current timeline, the Victorian timeline, you've got the main character, her cousin-in-law, and then the servants, and there's like 3 women servants, and I am losing track of who's who. And then you go back to the 1600s and there is the main character, her daughter, and then a couple of servants, female servants. I lose track of who's who because they're just not that like distinctive, and I want to almost spend a bit more time just with the characters and the creepy vibe. I don't really care that much about the stuff that's happening in the 1600s. I care more about the stuff that's happening in the Victorian times, because every time it goes back to the 1600 timeline, it's just, it doesn't feel creepy. It feels like a historical thrillery type thing. And there is like some supernatural elements or some weird elements, but every time we go back to that timeline, it loses my attention a bit more. I wish that we just stuck in the current timeline and maybe just because I think they're supposed to be like diary entries, but they don't read like diary entries. If they read more like diary entries, I might be behind it a bit more. So listen, it's not terrible. I don't see myself giving it above a 3.5, depending on what happens in the rest of this book. But I should finish it tomorrow at work between meetings. So at least it will be over. It sounds like I hate it. I don't hate it. I just don't love it. And when it's just been sat on my Audible for so long, it's just a shame. And also, quite a few people had said that it was really creepy and that I would enjoy it, and I'm just not getting that creepy vibe at all. So, but hey, it could pull something amazing off in the last hour and 20 minutes that I have, and I'll be back to eat my words. Hello. If you saw my priorities vlog, my latest priorities vlog, then you know it's the same day where it's really hot and I have surrendered and I've got my arms out. I'm not happy about it, but I've done it. The fan's on, the window's open. I apologise for any noise. I've been putting off this update for a really long time because I think I finished this book on Wednesday. It's now the following Monday, or maybe I finished it on Thursday. Anyway, Silent Companions. I genuinely don't really have anything to say. I think I'm going to settle on a 3. I'd heard so much about how this was like unsettling and creepy, and I just didn't get that vibe. I definitely felt more like I was reading a historical fiction, even though there was like this weird stuff happening. When the Silent Companions were being mentioned, that was when I was invested. I would say that's bumped it from like a 2 to a 3. Is just all the bits with the Silent Companions when they were being described. That was where the creep came in. But it was, I just never felt like it really hit the level I wanted it to. I think we just focused too much on the rest of it. I think I would have maybe scrapped the entire bit of looking back at what happened, I think it was like 200 years prior, and I would have focused more on just what was happening now. I would have added more stuff in with the Silent Companions. I would have upped the creep factor a bit, and I think we didn't need as much detail from the past. Like, we could have just had like a few entries, because by the time we got to kind of like the twist, I had guessed it quite far in advance, and I don't mind guessing a twist quite close to when it's being revealed, because then I'm like, oh yes, I got it. But when I get it like really far in advance and it takes the characters ages to catch up, I'm like, oh, just get there already. Just come on, just get there. I do think though this would work really well as like a TV show. I think if they took out the kind of, if they didn't show everything that was happening in like 200 years, like didn't keep like the split timeline and just kind of had like a few diary entries being read or something, I think this would really work, because I think if you could kind of up that gothic creep factor, this would be really good. It just didn't do it for me. Like, I thought about giving it a 2 and I thought that was mean, because really it's not like it did anything wrong. It just didn't do anything like majorly right for me personally. So it is what it is. Okay, it's been like a couple of days and I'm back to talk about my next read. But before I do that, I went to town today and I had to drop almost £300 on new glasses. So love that for me. I mean, thankfully the last time I had my eyes tested like 2 years ago, my prescription hadn't changed, so I didn't have to buy glasses then. But this time, yes, my prescription had changed slightly, and also my glasses have seen better days. My lenses are scratched, I guess. So it took a while. The girl was really helpful because I hated everything I tried on. I really struggled to pick new glasses. I get so used to like a certain shape on my face, and apparently this shape is no longer in fashion. They want rounded ones, and I just look so stupid. We did have a laugh though, because I tried on some and I was like, I look like that is it Jenny Eclair? And I said to her, I look like if you ordered her off Wish, because I had these really thick square glasses, and I just looked ridiculous. She got me to try on a pair that have been in the store for a very long time, and they were like bright lilac purple type thing and chunky as all hell, and they looked horrendous. And the other one was like, yeah, those are the ones. And she was like, please buy them because they've been here for years. It's like, no. But I've settled on a pair. I was torn between two. I really prefer the ones that I bought, but it took me a minute to accept that because the other ones were half the price. I really wish that I'd had my sister or something with me, so that she could tell me whether they looked okay or not. But I went with them, I've bought them, I should have them in a week. Anyway, amongst all that, I also took a trip. I went to Waterstones but I didn't see anything, so I went to HMV, and I just got myself some random things. So first of all, I got season 2 of Attack on Titan just to add to the shrine. I know that it's all on Crunchyroll, I know that, but I'm slowly collecting them all just because I want to physically own them. So I bought that. Then I got some blind baggy things, which I have already opened. So this was one lone JJK bag clip. There was no others. There wasn't even a box. This was just in another box. So I was like, oh, I've got to buy it because it's like Fate. What if it's Nanami? Or maybe a Gojo for Jay? No. This was disappointing. It's May. I couldn't even remember her name. I don't particularly like May, but now I have a back clip of her. It's not the end of the world because it's not like I already have her on the little grate thing where they're all hanging. I'm just having a look. But I don't have Nanami. So I was really hoping it was going to be this one. I would have accepted any of those three. Already got, yeah. Oh, this is a different line. But you know, it's fine. I'll add May to the thing. That's fine. Then I jinxed myself, right? Because I was like, I'm going to buy these. This is cute. So this is Spy Family. They're little sleepers figurines. And you can get 4 of them. And I was like, well, I would be happy with Lloyd, Yor, or Anya. I was like, I'm sure Becky would be fine. So of course I got Becky. And there was loads of these, so it's not like I didn't have a choice. But to be honest, she is freaking adorable. I kind of want to go back and buy more because they're actually really cute. Oh, it's actually really cute. Okay, well, she can sit next to one of my other Anyas. So Anya can have a friend. And then they also had these little Chainsaw Man hopping figs. So I almost bought more than one of these. I was like, no, just get one. But I was like, well, I like Arki, I like Power, I like Denji in that order. Maki was fine too. I know I'm like super behind on Chainsaw Man, but I was like, sorry, I do actually really like it. So I bought it and I got Power. And she's super adorable. She is adorable. Look at her just leaping through the air. So like I can position it a bit further on if I want to, but I'll sort that out later. But yeah, super cute. Kind of wish I bought more. Perhaps when I go and pick up my glasses next week, I'll buy it. But I'll buy more. But okay, first of all, I was more sensible than I could have been because I saw these. These Attack on Titan ducks. So hard not to buy them, but they were super expensive. And then they had mini ones, and I was like, oh, please have a mini Attack on Titan one. They did have a mini Yuji from JJK, but I got distracted. I'm gonna just take this bit off. This might be the stupidest thing I've ever bought. It's a Michael Myers duck in a tub. This is so stupid. There was absolutely no way I could leave without him. It's both the stupidest and best thing I've ever bought. So I'm just going to find a home for him. Probably right there. Oh, it's so silly. I love it. Anyway, that's my little haul moment over. On to what you are actually here for, which is to hear what I'm reading for this vlog next. So the next class that I've picked is Barbarian, and the prompt that I have for that is a reread or continue a favourite. This is because I personally am currently in my Barbarian era. I am playing 2 separate barbarians, one in Vampire Dark Ages, one in D&D, and they are the most fun. Barbarians do have the most fun, I'm sorry. We was talking about this on Sunday at Vampire, because I obviously did my almost 10-year campaign of D&D where I played Saria, this half-elf, and she became quite integral to the story. And so, like, she had a lot of responsibility. Everything kind of kept coming back to her to make decisions and stuff. And whilst I loved that, I was ready for a change of pace. Now, I don't have to think. I just get to punch things. For example, at Vampire on Saturday, I punched someone's jaw off their face. Like, clean off their face. The session before, I crashed through a door, destroying it, into the middle of a street with a crying albino vampire child, and vampires cry blood, apparently. So, or she does anyway. You get to kind of not have to do the thinky thing. You just kind of get to do stuff and cause chaos, and obviously in like a good way. You're not just like derailing the campaign or anything. You just get to have fun with it. And I just kind of love playing an idiot who's really lovable and really strong. It's so fun. I think my love of this kind of style has definitely come from watching Vox Machina and Critical Role, because watching Travis play Grog, I was like, I want to try playing a barbarian because this looks like so much fun. Like, you just get to really go for it and be like the tank, and it's just, I love being a barbarian. I didn't mean to be 2 barbarians at once, 100%. I created my vampire character quite a while ago and then kind of not forgot about her, but when she was on the back burner because we were finishing D&D first. And then I obviously started Ash's campaign and made Callista my barbarian, and it was only when I went back I was like, oh, I'm ending up playing 2 barbarians. And whilst they have similarities, they're also like really different. Like, I was trying to explain this to my friend Tom when I was driving him home on Sunday. Roskva can switch on a dime. Like, she is mostly just really chill and lovable. Like, there's this creepy little child vampire in our party which everyone else is creeped out by, but because it's a child, Roskva is just like a big sister to her, lets her creepily braid her hair, thinks nothing of making creepy dolls with her because she's a kid, right? So she's like, yeah, this is great. I will defend this child till the end of the earth. I will walk down the street holding this creepy child's hand. So you've got a 7-foot tall Viking vampire and this tiny little creepy child vampire walking hand in hand down the street. But then very quickly she can go into destroyer mode almost. Hence the punching the jaw off. It was a very quick decision. I feel like Callista is a little different because although she is always, I think I said to Tom, she's kind of like cheerfully violent always. So like, even when she's being violent and like trying to kill stuff and smash stuff, she's kind of just happy still. She's just still like smiley and cheerful. I haven't got to a point yet where she kind of turns and goes quite dark. I mean, there was one time where I intimidated someone, but other than that, she's just kind of like cheerfully violent all the time. Whereas Roskva is very switches like very suddenly sort of thing. So I'm having so much fun playing them. This is not telling you what my book is. This is just telling you the history of my relationship with barbarians. However, I do have a book that I'm going to read for this. I say a book, it's a manga. Up until yesterday, I was reading Trigun. I was reading Trigun for this, but I changed my mind. Why? Because, not because I'm not ready to read it, I am, but I don't want to read it for this vlog because I don't want to have to read it quickly, and I have a date where I want to get this vlog up, and it would mean having to read it quite fast. So I switched to Kaiju number 8 because, of course, Kaiju number 8 is one of my absolute favourite things. This is volume 12, so reading this will bring me bang up to date to release again, which is probably not a good thing because then I'll have to wait. I could read it digitally, but this is one that I really do prefer reading physically, so I'm just gonna be patient. but I freaking love this series. It's about Kafka Hibino, who lives in this world, or lives in this Japan, where kaiju are very common. So these big monsters just appear, and then there is a defense force that kind of kill them. And, well, kind of kill them. They do kill them. And then Kafka used to work for like a cleanup crew, so he would go and dispose of the bodies because those things don't just like disappear by themselves. And then something happens and he becomes part human, part kaiju. And I love him. I love everybody in this story. I love this series so much. So it's definitely a favourite. So continuing a favourite, it definitely fits the prompt. This is not going to take me long to read. I do have to go and pick up Jay from school. So I'll probably pick up Jay and then I shall read this. And then I'll be back to tell you all about it. Okay, the lighting is not great. But honestly, that's probably a plus because I'm having some kind of flare up. So this is a much nicer view for you. I finished kaiju number 8. Shocking absolutely no one. It was indeed a 5 stars, and I am indeed kicking myself because we've got another cliffhanger situation. I think this is worse, and I checked and volume 13 doesn't come out until July. It's 2 months. I know that doesn't seem like a long time. Very much is. I think the thing that I love most about this series is that it has a big cast. And there's absolutely no one that I dislike. I love all of the characters. I think they're all really interesting people. They have really amazing skills. Like when they're done in fight scenes, when they're doing fight scenes and stuff, like it's so cool. I just love every single person in this. Now, does that mean I remember everyone's name? No, because I'm really bad with names. But I know that as soon as that person's face appears, I'm like, I love that guy, even if I can't remember their name. But that's just a me issue. I'm like that in general life. I really struggle with names. However, I do remember this guy's name. This is Hoshina. He's one of my favourite characters, and we got some good Hoshina content in this. There was one bit where I was literally gobsmacked. I would say like half of the volume is on him. And yeah, it was just brilliant. And then we led up to the next bit. It's just such a good series. I know I've talked about it so often. It's so good. Reading this made me really want to rewatch the anime as well. But I'm going to hold off because I think season 2 has now been announced. So I'll hold off. I'll wait when it's kind of coming towards the time that season 2 is coming out. I'll rewatch season 1 then. But oh my god, it's so good. The manga is brilliant. The anime is brilliant. If you're not already reading it and you're into manga, you definitely should be. If you like action, you like great characters, you want an older main character, plus they're a kaiju. And it's just really interesting. There's really great character dynamics. The fight scenes are so well drawn. I can't praise this enough. I'm going to tell you about my next read now because tomorrow I need to do my bathroom. I have been saying I'm going to do it all week. I want to give it a really good deep clean. We were supposed to have a washing machine delivered today. That hasn't happened, so I also have to get up early. And when I'm doing, that was a tangent, but when I'm doing the bathroom, I want to listen to an audiobook. I know exactly which audiobook I'm going to listen to. So I need to tell you how this fits in. Okay, so my next class is Paladin. And my prompt is smut. I know. If if you're familiar with D&D, you're probably going, Paladin? Smut? How did we get here? Well, I'll tell you how we got here. In the campaign that Ash is currently running, we have a paladin. She's chaotic as fuck, and she keeps going off with random NPCs. I say random NPCs. 2 very lovely NPCs, and I'm pushing for a romance. I'm pushing for an in-game romance with this NPC because it's adorable and I want it to be a thing. I think it's a thing, but for a time there, it was just copping off with NPCs. So obviously it had to be smut. And obviously, if I'm reading smut, it's going to be A Worthy Opponent by Katie Robert. This is book 3. in the Wicked Villains series, and at no point going into this year did I think that I would be binge reading this series. I'm terrible at reading series. Terrible. But this is the series that I've decided I'm going to read quickly for some reason. Let me tell you about this. Once upon a time, I was a girl who believed in love and happily ever afters. Now, the only thing I believe in is revenge. Unfortunately for me, there's only one man willing to help me, Hook. I should have known it wouldn't be out of the goodness of his heart. He doesn't have one. No, Hook wants his ring on my finger and me on my knees before him, and he won't take no for an answer. I'm willing to pay any price in order to bring Pan down, even if it means I lose my soul in the bargain. I believe this is Hook and Tinkerbell. I enjoyed book 1. I really enjoyed book 2. Book 1 was Jafar and Jasmine. Book 2 was Meg, Hades, and Hercules. And I think this one is Tink and Hook. I don't understand how I'm here, but I'm very much looking forward to reading this. I once again have the audio, so I'm glad that I'm at least listening to it in my own home and not at work, as I did with the first one. That was a choice that I made. That was horrendous. So I'm glad that I'm at least reading this at home. It's 270 pages, but I don't believe the audiobook is like excessively long. So I may finish it tomorrow. I may finish it the day after. We'll see. So this is my Paladin book. It's the most un-Paladin book there ever was, but it fits my Paladin. I say my Paladin. To be fair, the Paladin character and my character are like best buddies at this point. They're both like a little chaotic duo, so yeah, my Paladin. It is Thursday evening. I'm on Becca's Sprints, and I read the entirety of A Worthy Opponent today. I know I said I was going to do it whilst I clean my bathroom. I didn't need the full audiobook to clean my bathroom, which was handy because I got distracted by The Sims today. There is a challenge that you can do on The Sims, right, where you put your sim in like a box, like a 1x1 floor tile box, right, and then you start with no money and you have to kind of like build a house around them, but they can't leave the house, right? They can't leave the box. So you start off like just having to take loads of selfies and selling them, and then you can buy an easel, and then you just make them paint. Just paint. Now normally I would have dropped this challenge already, right? But I played it for a couple of hours today and was really into it. I have gone from this tiny little box to like a full house. I say a full house. It's like a tiny home. There's like a little bedding area, it's like a little kitchen area, a sitting area, like she's got a treadmill, she's got a full bathroom, like all from just forcing her to paint. And I kind of want to play it right now, but I don't think, oh, my lights ran out. I don't think that my laptop can handle being on Sprints and playing The Sims, so I won't, but maybe tomorrow. Let me just change the light over. Whoop! There we go. So whilst playing The Sims, and then I did eventually clean my bathroom, I did do the thing that I was supposed to do. So whilst doing those things, I listened to A Worthy Opponent. This is my favourite. Like, I thought, what was the other one called? The one before this? I thought that was my favourite. But they do seem to be getting better and better as they go. Now, I've heard that that is not necessarily the case for the full series, but yeah, this is my favourite. Why is it my favourite? Because I love Hook. I love Hook so much. Now, obviously, there was some very good smut. It was very good. I enjoyed it a lot. But the main reason I love this is because of Hook and the kind of dynamic. Like, I don't know how to talk about this. I'm going to do spoilers, okay? Because I didn't know this going in, so spoilers. What I love about Hook is that he actually has a really good heart. Like, I know that you can kind of say that about Hercules from book 2. He is an absolute cinnamon roll. You can say it in some ways about Jafar. Like, Hades, maybe not so much. Like, he has a soft spot for Meg and Hercules, but he's not necessarily a good guy, right? Hook, Hook is like only doing this because he wanted to stop a bad person from being in charge. Like, he's genuinely trying to make his like area, what do they call it, his territory, he's trying to make it a better place. Like, he wants people to not be terrified all the time. He's trying to like cut the rates that people pay for protection. So like, okay, maybe not like a good person, but he's got rid of like a big bad person, and everyone looked to him to step in. So he's like, okay, well, I'll step in and I'm still part of this world, but I'm gonna at least try and make it better. And I love him. He does have a bit of a tragic backstory as well. I'm a sucker for a tragic backstory, we know this, but I just genuinely love the dynamic between Hook and Tink so much. Am I gonna end up buying this series? No. Maybe. I don't know for sure because I can't remember, but I feel like there was some setup for the next book to be Gaston, Beast, and Belle, maybe. Watch me read that at some point this year, I'm sure. I'm enjoying it. I'm having a good time. I don't read a lot of stuff like this, but I really do enjoy this. I think I would read more from Katie Roberts outside of this series now. So, wild turn for 2025, honestly. I just had such a good time. Like, yes, the smut was very, very good. It was very, very good. But also, I felt like the relationship in this one was my favourite. I love Tink as well as a character. She's so like determined to be self-sufficient and kind of like fighting everything that takes any control away from her. She definitely has this armor up, and just kind of watching how that comes into play with their dynamic was just so good. I really did enjoy this. Did I say it was 5 stars? It was 5 stars. So my next class is going to be Rogue, and for this I have given the prompt 3 Ds in the title, and this is for Dagger Dagger Dagger, which is the kind of catchphrase, I guess, of Liam O'Brien when he plays Vax in Critical Role, because he's like, right, I'm going to attack her, so dagger, dagger, dagger. And now that Becca is playing a rogue in our campaign, like every time it's her turn to attack, we're like, dagger, 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 because it's like one of these things we keep saying. If one of us says boom, then someone finishes it with fries, and that's a Friends reference, and things like that. Like, oh, and when the confetti happens, and I'm like, confetti, it's a parade. It has to be done. So I was really happy with this prompt because I was like, yeah, dagger, 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 we'll get a Critical Role reference in there. Fantastic. This was almost impossible to fill. I scoured my shelves and I was like, I think I'm going to have to change the prompt, or I'm going to have to pick a different prompt, because I could not find anything with 3Ds in the title. And then I remembered that I'm reading Dead Man Wonderland. So we got Dead Man Wonderland. Oh, there's actually 4. There's actually 4. It's 4 Ds, but we'll take it. I didn't say it had to be exactly 3. It was a minimum of 3. I'm not looking again. It's my prompt. It just had to have at least 3 Ds in the title. I am buddy reading this with Tori and Siobhan, and this is still a reread for me. I think this one and number 4 are rereads, and then I'm on to brand new content. But to be honest, it feels like new content anyway, because I have forgotten so much about this series because I put it down so long ago, and so now going back to it, I had forgotten quite a lot of moments. So it's been good to refresh my memory. It's really good, really brutal. It's a great time. This is about a middle school This is about a This is about a middle school student called Ganta Igarashi, and he has been framed for the murder of his entire class. So he gets sent to this theme park prison. So there was this earthquake that completely destroyed Tokyo, and they're trying to rebuild it. And in the ruins of Tokyo, they have built this theme park / prison to kind of like generate money, so people go there and they watch these really brutal games that they think are like special effects and not real, but They just use inmates, and it's really brutal. And there's so much more going on. There's like some sci-fi elements and stuff, and I'm really intrigued to see where this is going to go, because the more I reread, the more I get back into the story, the more I'm like, yeah, but what is actually going on? I need answers. So I think I might try and read this tonight on sprints. I say try, I'm going to do that. So I'm going to read this tonight on sprints, and then it'll be on to the last book, which I'm very excited for. Obviously I'm excited for Dead Man Wonderland too, but I'm very excited for the last book. So I'll be back when I finish this. I didn't read it. I'll try again tomorrow. Now I've finished Dead Man Wonderland. Now I've read it. It's the next day. It is 20 to 3. I have been sat here since 10 a.m. I've just been very distracted. So I was like, oh, this is great. I'm up early. I'm ready early. I'm going to sit down and read. And I'm going to read loads today. And then I just got distracted by one, TikTok. And also I was ordering things for the Stray Kids concert. So in July I'm going to see Stray Kids. I'm very excited, and I decided that I needed a lot of Changbin merch for my outfit. So I got very distracted. Anyway, I've ordered all that, that's aside, and I have now read this. I'm going to give this a 5 stars. This is still reread, as I said, but there was something that I had been waiting to happen. Like, I was so sure it happened, and it happened in this volume. And what I really love about this volume is I feel like it really moves the story along and sets the tone, because this, I was going to say, it's like the first volume. We do kind of know from the first 2 volumes that people in this are messed up, but then in this volume we realise they're messed up. The best way to describe this is it's a little depraved. Everybody in this series, apart from maybe like the main character Ganta, it's fucked up. Yeah, but this was a very good volume for kind of plot progression. We got introduced to new characters. We've got a better idea of how a few things work and how things are coming into play. And yeah, a good idea of how messed up these people really are. One of my favourite things about this series is the artwork, and this is from the same duo that do Smoking Parade, which I also really loved, and the manga artist, she also does the art for Livingstone, which I've read the first volume of and really enjoyed it. So her kind of art style I love. I'm sure she's the artist and the guy is the kind of writer, maybe, I think so. Anyway, but she definitely does the art for all 3 of those things, and I want to show you a really stunning piece. Like, it's a full page, and it's really well, I say full page, it's like a, you know, one of these pages, a single page rather than a double page spread is what I'm trying to say, but it would be a massive spoiler. But it just kind of really shows her art style and what I love about it. So continue to really enjoy this series, even though it is very, very, very messed up. Obviously that appeals to me, but no, not like that. It's just everybody's a little bit unhinged, but we did get introduced to some really good characters. So I have the volume 4 will be my last kind of reread, but I only have vague memories of it, so I'm excited to kind of see where we're going to go next. Of course, as soon as I sit down to film, somebody starts doing something. It sounds like they're having a fight with their mower, so I apologise if you can hear it, but I'll keep this as brief as I can. Also, earlier in this vlog, I was wearing a vest top and talking about how hot it was. The sun was shining, and I was like, it's so lovely. I'm sitting in my garden. We're having a barbecue. Today, hoodies and the heating is on. That is British weather for you. We never know what we're going to get. Anyway, the last class that I've gone for is, I'm not sure if it's like a class or whether it's just a class that someone in my campaign has created, or whether it's based on something else, but it's Dreamweaver. So I'm just going to call this homebrew class, okay? So someone in my current campaign is a Dreamweaver, and it's really, really interesting because I don't know the details of this class. I can't really explain it to you, but we're just going to put it under the umbrella of homebrew. And what I love about homebrew stuff is that it really gives players and DMs a way to be extra creative within the game, because if you're not feeling drawn to like a certain class, and you can sit with your DM and say, this is kind of like what I want to achieve, can we come together and create something like this? I love it. I'm pretty sure that Percy is also a homebrew class in Critical Role, because I can't remember exactly, but I'm sure that him and that Talis and Jafe and Matt Mercer sat down and kind of came up with how that class was going to work, because he's almost like a gunslinger, which is not inherently a part of D&D. So like he has guns. He's kind of like, let me actually look, because am I making that up? Okay, yes, it says Matthew Mercer created the subclass for Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. So yes, it's a subclass of fighters. And I just think that if you can homebrew stuff and you can bring in other elements and base it off of classes, or incorporate two classes together and kind of come up with something cool, I just think it's so much fun. So obviously the go-to prompt would be to read from an indie author. So if I'm going to read from an indie author, who am I going to read? David Sodergren. So this is Satan's Burnouts Must Die. This will be my third David Sodergren this year. I thought I had given him all 5 stars. So I was like, oh, new favourite author. He is a new favourite author, but I like to have 3 5-stars under my belt before I start saying that. And I only gave Maggie's Grave a 4, which I kind of want to reread it now and see whether I change my mind. However, if this is a 5-star, that will be 3 5-stars this year for David Sodergren, so that's exciting. Out of the desert they rode, 400 pounds of hot steel throbbing between their legs. Satan's Burnouts, 12 sex-crazed sadists with murder on their minds. Sam West lives on the outskirts of Dennisville. His granddaughter Angel is coming to visit to celebrate his 70th birthday. But this year, the party will be a psychotic rampage of vengeance, as Sam and Angel face a wild gang of devil-worshipping degenerates who live for one thing: kicks. Tonight on Sam West's 70th birthday, Satan's Burnouts Must Die. Yes, this is only 180 pages, so I'm hoping to get it read like in a couple of days if I can just focus. But David Sodergren, I love the way he writes. All of his horrors are very different. They all kind of have very different themes and messages. I just read Night Shoot, which is one of my favourite books of the year, because it was like all the best parts of 80s slashers. It was just everything that I wanted it to be, and it was sapphic. And this is one that I think I had before that. I think I've had this for quite a while. Ah, so funnily enough, I've just found a gift note in the front of here, and Night Shoot was a gift from Amy, as was this, because I remember that Amy really loves David Sodergren. And when I started, when I read Maggie's Grave, because I got that from Vulnerable Book Club, I think, I put loads of stuff on my wish list, and she was like, yes, you need to read him because he's fantastic. And I agree. So David Sodergren is a Scottish author, and he self-publishes with this Paperbacks and Pugs. And that's because he has a pug whose name I believe is Boris. Boris the pug, yeah. It says that his first published work was The Forgotten Island, which I have that one, but I haven't read it yet. Also, I just noticed that this is number 1. So this has a sequel, or is getting a sequel. I'll look into that. This book contains disturbing scenes of strong sex and violence. Okay, well, I'm excited for it. Right now, I really have to go and pick up my son. I just saw the time. I need to go and get in the car. So I will perhaps read some of this when I get back. Although I really want to go on Baldur's Gate. But maybe I'll read this first, because it's Friday night. I can do what I want tonight. I'll read this first. Watch me immediately not do that. I am now about 100 pages into this. What am I? 98 pages into this. And my God, does it not hold any punches. Like, this got insane right out of the gate. It literally opens with the biker gang kind of arriving in town, and by page 12 it was already going. Do you know what I mean? Like, the confrontations were here. I'm going to do a spoiler section in a second because this actually has gone in a slightly different direction than I thought it was going to. So because it doesn't say anything on the back, I'm going to put it behind a spoiler section. But before that, what am I enjoying about it? The writing is, of course, brilliant. The discussions are fantastic. More of that in the spoiler section. I enjoy the setting. I will say this is not going to be for everyone. This is pretty brutal. Now, it's not, I don't think it's not like splatterpunk, because I don't think it would be classed as splatterpunk. I struggle with splatterpunk. I find it a bit too much. So it's not like horrendously gory in the descriptions. It is sometimes, but not to the splatterpunk extreme. I'm not explaining it very well, but stay with me. What I will say is that there is a lot of sexual violence in this, and just sexual stuff in general. So it's definitely not going to be something for everyone. Now that I've said that, my next sentence of I'm really enjoying it it's probably not great, but I am really enjoying it because David Sodergren has a way of taking any subject, and yes, it is horrific, but it reads like a movie to me. Like, it, I know this is inspired by what did he say it was? I don't know any of the movies, but there is actually a watch list in the back for if you want to check out any biker exploitation films that inspired it. They're all from like the late 60s up to 1990. There's like a whole list of them in the back. And it's obviously very violent and very sexualized, and at least in this book, satanized. You know, they're Satan worshippers, which is obviously something that was very big in like the 80s and stuff with the satanic panic and stuff. There is a reference in here to Charles Manson, and I believe we're supposed to read into it that this group are in a similar kind of vein to the Manson family, but they're on bikes, which I'm pretty sure the Manson family weren't. But this is the Manson family as a biker gang kind of thing. Okay, spoilers, so I can talk about the things that are not on the back. So I went into this thinking that it was going to be an old man and his granddaughter facing off against the biker gang together, and it would be kind of like their joint stand. And it's very much not that. It's very much, this man wants to be the hero. So it says that the main character Sam has fought in 2 wars. I'm sure it said 2 wars, and I've been sitting here trying to work out the maths because it's set in 1972 and he's now turning 70, which means he would be born in 1902. Now, World War One started in 1914, which would have made him 12. By the end of World War One, he would have been, what, 16? So I guess he may have lied about his age to sign up and fought for like a year, but it seems unlikely. So I'm not sure what the other war was, because obviously World War Two is the main war that I believe he's been a part of, and currently the Vietnam War is happening. His granddaughter is protesting against the war. There's some conflict here because she actually ends up bringing home a fiance that he's never met, and they are both Vietnam War protesters, and he is a veteran, a war hero, and the guy that she's bringing home is like, oh, he's probably not going to like me because I'm a pacifist and I'm like fighting against this war. And Angel, the granddaughter, said, well, you know, I'm a pacifist too, and he doesn't hate me. And he's like, well, it's different for women, you know, like he'll see me differently as a man, and all this kind of stuff, which plays into this whole theme that David Sodergren has built of men needing to be the hero. There is some horrendous things that happen to some women in this book, and the main character has an opportunity to kind of step in, and he doesn't handle it very well, and then he hates himself for how he handled the situation, right? So he doesn't handle it very well. He doesn't quite make the heroic save that he wanted to make, and then when the opportunity comes to kind of go out there and prove himself to be the big strong hero, he decides, you know, yes, I'm going to do this for vengeance. And the women are saying, like, don't do this, like, this is not your fight, it's literally nothing to do with you. And he's still determined to go and be the hero. And there was a couple of times that something's been said, I can't remember it word for word. I'm going to go and find it to write it in my journal, because it was brilliant. It was something like, hang on, I'm going to find it. Oh, here it is. So the granddaughter Angel says, my English lit teacher told us about that. She said wronged women are often used to center a man's narrative. And a bit further up the page, another woman had said to him, you know, stop making this all about you. And he's like, this isn't about me, this is about whatever. Spoiler, I know this is a spoiler section, but I'm still trying to keep it fairly vague. And this woman says, bullshit, this is about you feeling emasculated, weak, old. And then I'm going to omit the next bit, but basically like, this didn't happen so you could prove to yourself that you're still a fucking man. And I love it, because it's like, when I was reading it, I was like, oh, this guy's kind of a dick. He's like this 70-year-old guy, and his internal monologue is very much about like, oh god, like I should do something, I should be doing something about this. I imagine he like has imaginary scenarios in his head where he goes and like plays the hero, and he's like, yeah, I'll kill this guy and I'll stop this and I'll stop it from happening. And then when the bad things happen, he's not thinking like, oh, I should get these people to safety, I should like do such and such. He is like, oh, they're not very grateful that I helped. I know that I didn't help very well, but I mean, I did help, and they're not very grateful about it. And then as he's driving home, he's like, you know, oh, I probably should have done this, and why didn't I do that? Oh, now I'm a coward. So now he's got an opportunity to go and prove himself to be big hero man. He's doing it even against the victim's wishes. And it reminded me of that Daniel Sauce video. I see it every now and again, and I always watch it through, because he's talking about the fact that he knew a guy who went and raped his friend, and he saw the signs. He either didn't want to believe it or didn't realize they were signs until he looked back retrospectively, and he was like, oh, I probably could have prevented it. And he said something that I think about often, and it was kind of talking about like, if you're not part of the solution, you're still part of the problem. Like, even if you are not a rapist yourself, if you don't do anything to prevent it, you might as well not be there. And he said this line where he was basically saying, don't, instead of saying that you're gonna punch a rapist or you're gonna unalive a rapist or whatever, prevent one. Like, don't wait for it to happen and then go, I'm gonna, you know, go and do whatever to this guy. Look for the signs, talk to your boys. This is what he said. He's like, talk to your boys. And I just think it's such an amazing clip. Like, he's a comedian, it's part of a comedy show, but he took time to have this really serious discussion about where he kind of failed as a friend. He says this, I'm not saying that he failed, he says this himself. He failed to address that situation until it was too late. And so he uses his platform to kind of say, this is how I failed, please learn from it. And I just, if you haven't seen that video, go and watch it, because it's so good. So I have like 82 pages left. I am quite tired because it is now quite late. I'm absolutely bullshitting you. It's like, I don't know, what is it? It's 10:30. I'm probably going to go watch Free. I didn't play any Baldur's Gate today because I faffed about all day. It was the last day of my holiday. I know I have the weekend, but still, I just faffed about all day. So I might read a bit more of this and watch some Free and then go to bed, because tomorrow is Saturday and I can play Baldur's Gate during the day tomorrow as well. I won't have to worry about school pickups and that. I think I'll read a bit more though, because I am really enjoying this. So when we next speak, I should be finished. And I don't want to speak too soon, but because of like the discussions and stuff, I think it might be another 5 stars. Don't hold me to it. Let's see when I come back. I apologise if there's like a jarring angle change, but it's the same evening. It's like 12:30, I finished Satan's Burnout's Must Die. I'm giving it 5 freaking stars. The last like 50 pages of this, I mean, the whole 180 pages of this was mental, but the last 50 pages of this was such a crazy climax. Like, so much was happening. It was just, I could not put it down. It was so good. If I thought it was brutal early on, Jesus, did it get brutal at the end. Like, crazy. It was so freaking good. I loved so much about this. I loved that even though it was super gory and there was a lot of sexual violence to both women and men, at the core of this is a feminist book. There is so much discussion in here about how men look at women, how men treat women, and so often men either want to control women or be their saviour. There's this kind of big thing about men going out to get vengeance so often. And I was sitting there thinking about it and I was like, God, do you know what, that's so true, because it's the motivation for so many like action movies and stuff. Like, someone's going out to get vengeance because they've lost their wife or their daughter. Like, they go after the person that killed them. I think that's kind of why I really like the John Wick movies, because he's going out for vengeance for his dog, and I can get behind that big time. Like, I know that he has lost his wife, but that was like through illness. But he goes on that murderous rampage for his dog, and I love that. I love John Wick. I read the author note at the back, and it was saying how the second book, because it's going to have a sequel, like I said, was supposed to be out in 2022. And I was like, oh, let me go and have a look at this. So I started looking at David Sodergren books on Goodreads, and it wasn't there. So I was looking for his website, and then I went from his website to his Instagram, and I found a post from like 2024 basically saying that he's working on the sequel and it should be out soon, but he's also working on a lot of books at the moment. And I was like, cool. And then I was like, right, I need to go and look through his backlist because I want to read everything he's written, right? So I found this picture and it was like all his books lined up, and I was looking through and I was like, why has he got Carl John Lee books there? Because it was like, I don't know if they were in release order. I think it was like The Forgotten Island, Night Shoot, and then it was The Blood Beast Mutation, which I have, and that's by Carl John Lee. So I was like, that's weird. So I went to the caption and it was like, did you know that I also write under the pseudonym Carl John Lee? No, David Sodergren, I did not know that. I did not know that at all. So my understanding is that when he writes as Carl John Lee, that is his more extreme stuff. Which makes sense, because I actually unhauled, I feel bad now, but I unhauled Psychic Teenage Bloodbath because I tried to pick it up, but it kept saying like, oh, this is extreme horror. And I don't love extreme horror. I don't mind it kind of this level. This is kind of my level. But like Blood Beast Mutation was borderline. And then when I was reading like the back and stuff and people talking about it, I was like, I don't know whether this is something that I'm going to handle. So I don't think I'll read his Carl John Lee stuff. I appreciate that he kind of separates him that way almost, because I feel like everything I've read from him as David Sodergren has been like my level. It's the kind of violence and gore level that I can enjoy, get behind in a fictional setting. But I think the Carl John Lee stuff will be too much for me. So having that separation is actually really helpful. So I know he didn't do it personally for me, but I personally am grateful. So I will need to go back through his backlist and buy them all. I have one left? I have one left, The Forgotten Island, which is so funny to me because at the start of this year I was going on, I've got 5 of his books and I've only read one. And now I only have one left to read. So I'm going to have to buy more. But at least I have read them and I know that he is an author I love. 5 stars, confirmed favourite author status. Kind of want to reread Maggie's Grave now to see whether I'll get more out of it this time. I don't know. And with that, the vlog is over. And what a successful vlog it has been. I was nervous, I'm not gonna lie. When I read The Silent Companions at the start and gave it a 3, I was like, oh, that's not a great start. But in a way, super glad I read it first, because over 5 books, 1 3 and 4 5 stars. Now, the 2 manga were a given, I feel, because Dead Man Wonderland I'm super enjoying, plus it's a reread and I'd already given it 5 stars. This was never going to get less than 5 stars. I don't think a kaiju volume has got less than 5 stars, as far as I'm aware. I think it's been getting 5 stars since volume 1. Editing Gemma will confirm or not confirm, whatever the case may be. A worthy opponent being 5 stars was a shock, because I looked back and I gave both book 1 and 2 4 stars. Now, when I read book 2, I was like, I'm giving it 4 stars, but I did enjoy it more. I think maybe it was a 4.5, if I'm being super honest, but I was like, yeah, give it a 4. My gut reaction to finishing A Worthy Opponent was to give it a 5, and I didn't even question it. I did not see this coming. I know I've said this before. I went and looked at the rest of the series and I really want to continue it. So I'm gonna, at some point. I can't remember what book 4 is called, The Beast or something. It will be being read. Because I was looking at the pairings for the rest of the series, and that the newest one that just came out, I think, looked to be Red Riding Hood and Wolf. I'm assuming it's not an actual wolf, because that would be going into a different territory, but I'm here for it. So I now want to read the whole series. Loved it. And then obviously ending on a high, because not only was it the 4th 5-star of the vlog, it was my favourite book of the vlog and cemented David Sodergren as a favourite author. I mean, what a great time. Genuinely, what an absolute blast I've had reading these books. I'm so glad I decided to resurrect some of these prompts, because it was fun for me to talk to you about why the prompts were a thing and explain some stuff about my characters and my friends' characters, and I got some amazing books out of it. So happy days. I don't think I am going to watch Free. I wasn't expecting to sit there and read this book in one day. So now it's quite late. Maybe I could have read it in one day if I'd, figured my shit out earlier and not sat scrolling on my phone for so long. Or maybe I will watch Free. Oh, I don't fucking know. I'm tired. I don't know what's going on. What I do know is that the vlog is sadly over. So if you have any thoughts on any of the books that I have read for this, let me know in the comments below. If you have any recommendations of this kind of thing, or Night Shoot, anything David Sodergren-y, obviously I'm going to add the rest of his stuff to my list, but if you have any other author recommendations particularly, let me know. If you just want me to know you're here, that per part is always appreciated. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're not already subscribed and you'd like to see more content from me, remember to hit that button, leave a like if you want to, and I'll see you in the next one.